I'm Janet Clark, and this is The Freedom Shift. Hello, and welcome to the Freedom Shift podcast. I am your host, Janet Clark, and I am happy to be talking to you today, you coaches and consultants out there who want to make a freedom shift in your life and generate more consistent cash flow and sales. So today we are going to talk about the winning formula for sales momentum. Now, it took me a while, truthfully, about 5 years. And that's not to say that I wasn't making money throughout all that time, but I wasn't making the consistent cash flow that I really wanted. I was jumping around, I was changing up my offer, and I was truly evolving as a coach consultant. And I think maybe turning myself into what I would now call a mentor. I was also experimenting a lot with funnels and literally moving along sort of like a misguided missile. So maybe you resonate a little bit with that. You feel like you know that you're on the right track, but you also feel a little bit disjointed or chasing shiny objects or just not really knowing which direction to go. And after a while, that running in circles will get frustrating. So I suppose that it is typical and natural and exactly how entrepreneurship does play out. So we run with an idea, but then we get a new idea. We run in another direction, and we're just really looking for that right path for ourselves. And, it is going to finally click. And the secret is to figure out what is the perfect offer, the irresistible offer that you can deliver to your prospects and turn them into clients. But it's a little bit more than that too. Even if you have the perfect offer, you have to know how you're going to get the message out to people. So I'm going to talk to you about 8 specific things that you can focus on that will really help you to stop going in circles, stop being a misguided missile, and get on track. And so here's what they are. And again, I like to give lists. You guys that listen to me all the time, you know that I've always got a list. A lot of times it's 8 things. I don't know why. But you can write them down. But if you, for whatever reason, you're driving or you're on the treadmill or you're taking a walk and you can't write them down, you can go to thefreedomshift.com and click on podcast, and the show notes will be there. And so you actually don't have to take notes. You can just listen to this. And if you want to read about them later, you can do that on the website. So let's talk about what are these 8 things that are really were the turning point for me. And I had to have them all in order to get comfortable before I could really move forward. And so number 1 was the right offer. So the right irresistible offer. And the next is the right playing field. So in other words, where am I going to go to find this targeted client who wants this offer? So in my case, it happened to be LinkedIn. You'll have to figure that out for yourself. Like, where are you going to play? But if you try to play on multiple fields, you're not going to win the game, right? So you have to focus and pick one and really get that working. Then you can automate it and move to another. But until you get one platform really figured out, it really is too complicated to try to do multiple platforms at the same time. The third thing is you need to have the right message or copywriting. So fortunately for me, once I got to the point where I had my right offer, I also found the right copywriter, somebody that could really help me to put that into a format that would attract people. Because a lot of times we don't write in a psychological way that really digs into the pain and shows people the bridge to get the solution that they want. So a good copywriter will make all the difference in that. The fourth thing is the right media. And so when I say media, are you going to be doing posts on social media? Are you going to do messaging with people? Are you going to use chat bots? Are you going to use human intervention there? Or are you going to use email? Are you going to do a retargeting or some kind of ads? So you have to pick your right media. And again, you can eventually do more than one, but the secret is with all of this is to pick one. So there's a great book out called The One Thing. It's escaping me who wrote it. But anyway, it's a great book. And when you can take each of these 8 things and you can actually combine them into one thing, then you are going to see massive growth in your sales. Okay, the number 5 thing is you need to put a deadline in. So people have to have an incentive to take fast action. So there needs to be a specific date associated with that decision that you're asking them to make. So the 6th thing is a guarantee. It should be a no risk for the client to get to work with you, and they need to see that you have skin in the game also. Now, when I talk about guarantees, I'm not talking about money back guarantees, because what I found with that is that when we offer a money back guarantee, we actually attract the wrong people. We attract people who are not going to seriously invest themselves in succeeding with the program. Because let's face it, anything we invest in that's going to give us transformation is going to take work. And so if you're attracting people who are just thinking that they're going to throw money at it and then you're going to fix it for them, you will open yourself up to getting the wrong people into your program. So you want to offer a guarantee, but the guarantee should be in the form of results. Like you will work with that person until they get a certain level of a result. And so that is a much stronger guarantee. And then number 7 is you need a qualifying process. So you need to make sure that they need it, they want it, and they're ready to buy it. So even if you make an offer to somebody who kind of likes what you're saying, but they don't need it, and they're not ready to make a buying decision, they're just not going to buy. And you need a low-key, heart-centered sales approach. So the heart flow sales process that I work with, that I've developed over the course of my time as a high-ticket salesperson in this industry, is something that is really genuine and authentic, and it really makes people enjoy the process of going through this decision-making on their own, with you guiding them through it. So I call it Heart Flow. And for those of you who haven't heard my episode where I went through the whole Heart Flow sales process, again, if you go to the website, you'll find that episode. I forget, I think it might have been episode 2, but it's there listed and you can listen to it. So according to Dan Kennedy in The Ultimate Marketing Plan, which is a great book, by the way, he defines marketing as getting the right message to the right people via the right media and methods. So look, in some ways, I'm a planner because my life is fast-paced and busy, so I literally have to live by my calendar. But on the other hand, because I'm fast-paced, I tend to be super impulsive. And because I like sales, I'm one of those people who's like, let's just go sell it kind of people. However, sometimes that ready, fire, aim approach doesn't work so well, because it's not a sustainable model to build a business. So it's great for having these high points, right? So all of a sudden I'm out there and I'm making these offers and I'm bringing people in, and now I go and I fulfill because I really didn't even know what I was selling, and I'm selling these one-off programs, and it becomes very time consuming for me to deliver those programs. So it really makes sense to take the time to create an offer that is consistent. And so that's what we're really talking about today. So although I certainly have had some success, there's 2 really important things that have been missing that allow me to relax and to actually make the impact that I really desire to make. And so what we're really looking for, and I know you are too, is a consistent flow of the right clients coming into your program and consistent cash flow. Now, obviously, they go hand in hand because until you get a consistent stream of new clients, you're not going to have consistent cash flow. But there are many other benefits to having the consistent clients and the consistent cash flow that I want to mention. So let's start with this idea of having consistent new clients. Consistent flow of new clients is really how you get great at what you're delivering, because it takes repetition to master something. And when you work with new clients over and over again, you get the chance to become a true expert at your craft. And there are so many, really only so many obstacles and challenges that are going to get in the way. And once you discover what they are and you figure out how to overcome each one of them, you achieve mastery. And this is so hugely important that we're not doing all of these one-off programs, because when we do that and we're not consistently delivering the same thing, we're just okay. We're not becoming masters at our craft. Also, when you consistently bring in new clients, you create a community. And this community becomes vibrant and it takes on a life of its own. So your program becomes more valuable and delivers better results just by virtue of the talent within your community. This creates a whole new level of synergy that you, in and of yourself, would not be able to deliver. So you want to really think about bringing the right people into your world so that they create this movement and this momentum amongst themselves that's greater than what you individually bring to the table. And then the third reason why you want to have this consistent stream of new clients is that they are going to energize you to step up your game, because you're going to be called on to be a better mentor, a better leader, and a better person. So when you surround yourself with this new energy coming in, these new people that are excited to work with you, you step up into a greater version of yourself. So it is massively important that you have this continuous flow of new clients coming in if you really want to get to the top of your game. Now, obviously, the cash flow is something that is super important as well, because consistent cash flow is what's going to allow you to scale. So it's important to realize that with every level you achieve, whether it's your first 6 figures, you're jumping into the mid 6 figures, or you're going into the millions, you're going to need more of a team. You're going to need to continue to invest in more expensive mentorship, and you're going to need to join higher level communities. So to grow your business, you'll need to consistently invest ahead of the growth. And most often, you'll want to do this with some sort of a line of credit, because we all know that cash is king and money in the bank is a huge asset. But what allows you to continuously access this line of credit is knowing that you have consistent cash flow. So you're going to be able to access more credit and get more perks from those credit cards, as long as you know that this consistent cash flow is coming in and you're maintaining a very high level of a credit score. So the value of recurring revenue can't be stated enough. And I'm actually going to do another episode that's going to be devoted entirely to this topic of recurring revenue. But just remember that you need a consistent flow of new clients to create a consistent cash flow, and that is going to feed on itself and build your momentum. Next week, I'm going to go deeper into why LinkedIn is an ideal playing field for you to focus on. Today, I want to emphasize that you need to be over there if your prospective clients are there. So if you're not playing over on LinkedIn right now, that's a really important place for you to be. I'm sure you've noticed the emergence of all things LinkedIn lately. And I want you to make sure that you schedule some time next week to listen to that podcast, because I'm going to be giving you a lot of insights, because I've now been focusing on LinkedIn for about the last 8 months. And a lot has transpired during that time, a lot of a learning curve that you won't have to go through because I just did. So in the meantime, make sure you come over there and you connect with me at Janet Clark at the Freedom Shift. So there's a lot happening over there in that space. Now, last week I did an episode and I talked about the 8 components that you need to go into your irresistible offer. So number 1 that we talked about today was making sure you do have an irresistible offer. And if you need some help in creating that, I actually did an episode last week. So again, just go to thefreedomshift.com and click on podcast, and you can access that episode over there. Now, let me talk a little bit about your messaging. So there is a saying that I got from my first coach that has stuck with me for many years now, which is a confused mind does nothing. You have to establish yourself as an expert in something, and you have to become known as a preeminent authority in that field. And, I used to be wishy-washy about this, sometimes calling myself a coach, other times I'm a high-ticket sales expert. But once I started saying I'm the sales matchmaker, I started attracting my ideal clients, and it was a small shift, but it really worked because it really spoke to the salesperson who was looking to be matched up with a coach or a consultant, because of course I'm the sales matchmaker, but it also speaks to the coaches and consultants who are looking for a really high-level salesperson. So let's break down what your messaging needs to include. It needs to speak to a desire or a need of your ideal prospect. So you have to really get clear on your avatar so that you know what their big need is. What is it that they are desiring above all else? Secondly, it must offer a solution that fulfills that need or desire. So there's that thing that they're longing for, they're wishing for, they really wish they could have. And then secondly, you have a solution to fulfill that for them. It's going to describe your USP or your unique selling position. So it's really important that you recognize that your offer cannot be the same as what somebody else in your space is offering. You have to have something unique about you that you are going to be able to promote in the marketplace. So even though for me, I was somebody who was a sales coach or mentor, when I actually became a sales matchmaker, that was my unique selling proposition. So I can help coaches with their sales and I can help salespeople sell better, but most importantly, I can match the two together. You also want your message to build up your value to price ratio, emphasizing that your value far exceeds your cost. So you want to build an offer that is so valuable that the cost becomes a no-brainer or the investment becomes a no-brainer for your prospects. And when you go back and you listen to my training on the irresistible offer, you'll hear more about that part of it in there as well. And most importantly, with your messaging, you need to have a call to action and a reason to act right now. So you need to put in some sort of a deadline, but you also want to have that call to action, which is, do you want them to book a call with you? Do you want them to click a button to buy something? Do you want them to reply to an email and respond to you? Do you want them to go to Messenger and private message you? Whatever that is, it needs to be very clear because people will not do they are not intuitive. They don't know what you want them to do unless you are very specific and you tell them. So remember, a confused mind does nothing. You do not want to put out a confusing message to people. To build your sales momentum, you have to get braver and you have to be willing to put your unique selling proposition out there. So very often the coaches and consultants that I've been talking with, they tend to want to play this Me Too game. But you need a differentiator. You know, my first coach called it your POV or your point of view. If your prospects don't know what you stand for, you won't attract them. So think about simplifying and distilling your message down to your core message. What is it? What do you stand for? What are you a preeminent expert at? Now, throughout my experiences selling high-ticket programs, both for myself and for others, I have learned something really important. When I get on a call with a prospect and I ask them why they are there and what attracted them to that program and that coach, if they can't answer that question with an excited and a knowledgeable response, the sale is not going to close. So, for example, if I'm selling a program for myself and I say, you know, what attracted you to get on this call today? What do you know about this sales map program that I offer? If they're like, oh, I don't really know too much about you. I just saw, I saw something on LinkedIn and I just decided that I'd book a call with you to hear more about your program. I guarantee you that's not going to close. Okay. If I talk to somebody, say I'm selling a program for the Ask Method. And by the way, this hardly ever happens because Ryan Levesque is a master at marketing. But if I were to get on a call with someone and say, what do you know about Ryan and what do you know about the Ask Method? If they say something like, oh, I don't really know anything about him. I'm on so-and-so's list and something came across my desk that, you know, this person recommends Ryan. So I figured I'd come on and learn about him. I'm not going to close that sale. That never happens because he's an amazing marketer. But what I want to hear is, oh my God, I love Ryan. I've been following him now. I've watched all his videos for the last 2 weeks. I really loved the way that he approaches the marketplace and the way he does these surveys. I love the Ask Method. I read the book. That is going to sell the program. That is somebody that's going to close. The same thing for you. If somebody gets on a call with you and they say, well, you know, I've been following you on LinkedIn. I noticed you've got this amazing newsletter. Or, you know, I love the messaging that you put out. I get what you're doing. And I'm really impressed by the difference that you bring to the marketplace, right? Your values or the way you approach things or the way you look at sales. Then somebody's going to buy because they are already built that know, like, and trust factor up. So I want to make sure that you are going to be able to create something that does have a irresistible offer and a unique selling proposition. Then you'll find that it's much easier to make that connection, and the heart flow sales conversation is just going to happen naturally. So I love this game of sales. As you can probably tell, I get super excited. But most importantly, I love that when we master it, it means we get to live our best life. We get to offer our best service and we get to make our biggest impact. So if this podcast helps you do that, then I am delighted. And as always, I like to offer that you can just reach out to me anytime. You can reach me through Messenger. You can reach me through email, janet@thefreedomshift.com. Tell me what your thoughts are about the podcast. And I also created an ebook, which I called Convert Calls to Cash, which describes my entire heart flow sales process. So if you go to the website, www.thefreedomshift.com, you can actually download that book there for free. So thank you for being here today. Be sure to tune in again for our next episode, which will be all about how to do LinkedIn differently in a way that works like a charm. Until then, happy selling and bye for now. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Freedom Shift Podcast. If you want more great information about increasing your sales, visit our website, www.thefreedomshift.com/podcast.